Welcome back to another deep dive. Today we're going to be taking a look at the life and music of John Fogerty,
Yeah.
the man behind that swampy sound of Creedence. Clearwater Revival.
Yeah.
We've got a lot to uncover today.
Yeah, it should be fun. There's a lot to talk about with John Fogerty, for sure.
Absolutely. We've got his unlikely musical hero, the real story behind Proud Mary, and much more.
It's really fascinating when you start to dig into Fogerty's story. I mean, he's often associated with that southern rock sound.
Right.
But his roots are actually in Berkeley, California. That's where he was born on May 28, 1945.
Okay.
He later moved to El Cerrito, which he considers his true hometown.
I see.
But here's the thing that really surprised me. His earliest musical inspiration wasn't a bluesman or a rocker.
Okay.
It was Stephen Foster.
Stephen Foster. Really?
Yeah.
Like the guy who wrote, Susanna and Camptown Races.
That's the one.
Wow, those are classic Americana tunes.
They are.
But they seem so different from CCR's Bad Moon Rising.
Yeah.
How does that connection even work?
Well, that's the beauty of it. You see Foster's music, while different in style, shares a core element with Fogerty's work. A deep-rooted connection to American storytelling.
Okay.
Fogerty himself aimed to write good songs, great songs, as he put it.
Right.
That would make even Stephen Foster proud.
I see.
He actually mentions this in his memoir.
Interesting.
It's not about mimicking the sound, but about capturing that essence of heartfelt, authentic narratives through music.
So it's more about tapping into that shared American spirit, that ability to weave tales
Exactly.
that resonate with people across generations.
You got it.
And speaking of unexpected paths, CCR's journey to fame wasn't exactly a straight shot either.
Oh, no.
Before they became Creedence Clearwater Revival, they went through a whole bunch of name changes.
Right.
Starting with Tommy Fogerty and the Blue Velvets. And they were even the Gollywogs for a while.
It's crazy to think about how much a band's name can shape their identity.
It really is. Imagine if they'd stayed the Gollywogs.
Yeah, would they have achieved that same legendary status? Who knows?
It's hard to say, right?
Yeah, it really makes you think.
Definitely. And it's a good reminder that even iconic bands have to go through that process of, discovery and evolution.
But absolutely.
To find their true voice.
And sometimes that process involves some unexpected detours.
Like Fogerty's time in the Army Reserve.
Exactly, from 1966 to 1967.
You wouldn't necessarily think about military service as a time for a surge of creativity.
Right.
But for Fogerty, it really was.
It really was a pivotal time for him. What's so fascinating is how he managed to find inspiration amidst the drills and routines of military life.
Yeah.
He actually said that the idea for his song, Porterville, came to him while he was doing those mundane tasks.
Interesting.
And Porterville wasn't just any song for him. It marked a real turning point in his songwriting. It kind of paved the way for some of his biggest hits like Proud Mary and Born on the Bayou.
I see. So those moments of quiet reflection, even in such a structured environment like the Army Reserves, allowed his creativity to really blossom.
You could say that.
And speaking of Proud Mary, the story behind that song is just incredible.
It really is. The pure joy behind the creation of that song is just infectious.
Yeah.
So Fogerty gets his discharge papers from the Army Reserves.
Okay.
And he's so overcome with happiness.
He's free.
He is, that he runs outside and starts doing cartwheels on the lawn.
Really?
Yeah, it's like a burst of pure elation, and that leads him straight to his guitar.
Wow.
Where he strums that now famous opening line.
Left a good job in the city.
Exactly. And the rest, as they say, is history.
It's an amazing story, and it really captures that raw, unadulterated feeling that makes Proud Mary so irresistible.
It's hard not to tap your feet to that one.
You can practically hear the joy and liberation in every note.
For sure. But Fogerty's musical influences actually went beyond Stephen Foster and his own personal experiences. As a teenager, he was really drawn to the guitar styles of legends like Chet Atkins, Scotty Moore, and James Burton. It's amazing to trace how those early influences shaped Fogerty's own guitar playing. And his dedication to mastering his craft is just evident in everything he does.
Yeah.
He spent years honing his bottleneck and dobro guitar techniques.
Wow.
Practicing relentlessly until he reached his own incredibly high standards.
Could you maybe break down those techniques a bit for those of us who aren't quite guitar aficionados?
Sure.
What makes them unique and challenging?
So bottleneck guitar involves using a slide, often a glass or metal tube on the strings, to create that really distinctive gliding sound.
Okay.
Dobro, on the other hand, refers to a specific type of resonator guitar known for its bright metallic tone.
I see.
Mastering these techniques requires immense precision and control, and Fogerty's commitment to achieving that level of proficiency.
Yeah.
It speaks volumes about his dedication to his art.
It's that attention to detail and that willingness to go the extra mile.
Right.
That separates a true musician from someone simply playing notes.
Couldn't agree more. And speaking of impactful encounters, Fogerty actually had this remarkable meeting with blues icon Lightnin Hopkins as a child.
Lightnin Hopkins, wow.
Yeah, and that encounter, I think, reveals a lot about both men.
Okay.
So Lightnin Hopkins, despite being a musical legend, couldn't read or write.
Really?
Yeah, and when he signed Fogerty's autograph, he did so with an X.
Wow.
And he did it secretly because he didn't want anyone to know about his illiteracy.
That's powerful.
It is. It's a reminder that even incredibly talented individuals can face hidden struggles.
Yeah, it's humbling to remember that we often only see the surface of someone's story.
Absolutely. And in contrast to that encounter, Fogerty has spoken about his admiration for folk legend Pete Seeger, whom he considers to be the greatest performer he's ever witnessed.
Wow.
He describes being completely captivated by Seeger's energy, his storytelling, his ability to connect with the audience.
And that ability to connect with an audience is something that Fogerty definitely shares. Take, for instance, his performance for President Obama at a Salute to the Troops event back in 2014. He played Fortunate Son.
Yeah.
Which is a song with potentially controversial lyrics in that context.
Right.
But the service members loved it. Even President Obama was seen bopping along to the music.
It just goes to show you the power of music to transcend boundaries and connect with people on a deeper level.
Yeah.
Fogerty's music, even when addressing these complex social and political themes, has a way of cutting through the noise and resonating with a diverse audience.
You know, it's really interesting how his music manages to be both thought-provoking and incredibly catchy at the same time.
That's a good way to put it, and I think it speaks to the authenticity and the emotional honesty that runs through his music. It really does speak to that, authenticity and emotional honesty that runs through his music. But even rock legends have their lighter sides.
Oh, I'm sure.
Did you know that Fogerty was a traffic patrol lieutenant?
A what?
A traffic patrol lieutenant in elementary school.
Oh, wow. I can totally see him bringing that same intensity and focus to directing his classmates.
Right.
As he does to his music.
And here's another unexpected tidbit. Fogerty is a huge fan of SpongeBob SquarePants.
Huh. That's not one I would have guessed.
It's kind of refreshing to see that even someone with such a storied career can appreciate the simple joys of a good cartoon.
Yeah, for sure. But of course, Fogerty's life hasn't been all sunshine and SpongeBob. He's been married twice.
Right.
First to Martha Pies, with whom he had 3 children.
Yeah.
They later divorced. And he met Julie Kramer, who would become his second wife.
And their meeting actually occurred during a particularly challenging period for Fogerty.
Oh, how so?
He was grappling with alcohol-heavy smoking and the disappointment of his album Eye of the Zombie, which he considered subpar.
So it sounds like he was at a real crossroads.
He was.
In his life, both personally and professionally.
Yeah, in his memoir, he describes himself as a freight train of sorrow at that time. But then he met Julie, and she really became a turning point in his life.
That's great.
He credits her with being his savior and the love of his life.
It's amazing how love and connection can have such a transformative effect.
It really is.
Even in the darkest of times. But returning to his music, one of the things that always struck me about Fogerty's career is that long hiatus he took.
Oh, yeah.
After Creedence Clearwater Revival disbanded in 1972.
In 72, that's right.
Yeah, it's a period that raises a lot of questions for me. He released a solo album in 1975, but then essentially vanished from the music scene for a decade.
It seemed like he was at the peak of his success.
Yeah, exactly. Why walk away from it all?
Well, it really all boiled down to this bitter legal battle.
Right.
With Fantasy Records, the label that owned the rights to his music.
Oh, okay.
Fogerty despised the label and refused to record any new material under their control.
So it was a real artistic standoff.
It was, and it lasted until 1985 when he finally settled the dispute.
Oh, wow.
And released his comeback album, Centerfield.
So he really prioritized artistic integrity over commercial success.
Yeah.
Even if it meant stepping back from the limelight for, quite a while.
It cost him time and exposure, but it also underscored his unwavering principles and commitment to his artistic vision. He just wasn't willing to compromise for anyone or anything.
And you know what else that means? That hiatus means he totally missed the entire disco era.
Oh, yeah.
Given his well-known stance on disco sucks, as he famously declared.
Yeah.
Perhaps that was a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, you can say that again. I can't really picture him trying to fit into that scene.
No, me neither.
But speaking of fitting in, we've talked a lot about his early influences.
Yeah.
But what about his lasting impact on music?
That's a great question. How has his work continued to resonate with artists across different genres?
It's a great question, and I think it really circles back to that authenticity and that timeless quality of his songwriting. His songs are rooted in these American blues, rock, and folk traditions, and they just speak to these universal themes of love and loss.
Yeah.
Working class struggles, social justice.
Right, and that raw, gritty sound that CCR was known for, that's had a huge influence on rock and roll.
It has. You can hear echoes of Creedence in bands like Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, even contemporary artists like Kings of Leon.
Wow.
They've all drawn inspiration from that blend of rootsy Americana and hard-driving rock.
It's really remarkable how his music has transcended time.
It is.
And continues to inspire new generations of musicians.
And we've covered so much ground today.
We have.
From his childhood in El Cerrito to his chart-topping success with CCR, his legal battles, his personal struggles and triumphs.
What stands out to you as the most compelling aspect of John Fogerty's story?
I think for me, it's the interplay of his musical talent and his unwavering integrity.
Yeah.
He's obviously a gifted songwriter and musician, but he's also someone who has stayed true to his artistic vision, even when it meant sacrificing fame and fortune.
Right.
And in a world that often prioritizes image over substance, that kind of integrity is both rare and inspiring.
It really is. It's a powerful message.
Yeah.
What do you think our listeners should take away from John Fogerty's journey?
It's a great question, and I think it really boils down to this. John Fogerty's story reminds us that passion and perseverance can fuel remarkable accomplishments. He faced setbacks, legal battles, personal challenges, yet his unwavering belief in his music and his commitment to his craft ultimately allowed him to overcome those hurdles and leave a lasting imprint on the world of music.
It's a story that transcends the realm of music in a way.
It does.
It offers a message we can all apply to our own lives.
Absolutely.
No matter what our passions are.
Whether it's pursuing a creative dream, championing a cause, or just navigating life's ups and downs. Fogerty's story reminds us to stay true to what truly matters.
Absolutely. So to our listener, if you're feeling inspired by John Fogerty's path, I encourage you to delve deeper into his music. Explore his memoir and unearth those hidden gems within his story.
And as you do that, I want you to consider this. How has Fogerty's dedication to his craft and his resilience resonated with your own experiences? What lessons can you glean from his story and apply to your own life?
Those are great questions to ponder as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of John Fogerty. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep the music playing.